The alarm screamed through every corridor of the research vessel. Captain N's feathers stood on end as he gripped the command chair with his thin fingers. The ship shook violently. Another hit. The shields were failing. "How many?" In asked, though he already knew the answer would be bad. 17 ships, Captain," his sensor officer chirped, her voice high with fear. "No, wait, 23 now, they keep coming." In watched the display screen. The ships looked like massive insects made of metal and chitin. They moved in swarms just like the creatures that piloted them. Each ship was twice the size of his research vessel, and there were so many of them. There were scientists, not warriors. Their people had joined the Galactic Council 300 years ago. In all that time, they had never needed weapons. The Council kept the peace. Pirates were rare. Real wars were almost forgotten. But they didn't care about Council law. They didn't negotiate. They didn't take prisoners. They consumed everything in their path. "Shields at 15%, another officer called out. "We can't take another hit like that." In's mind raced. They were 4 days from the nearest council station. No help would come in time. His crew of 43 scientists would die here in this unnamed system, studying rocks that didn't matter anymore. "Send a distress signal," he ordered. "All frequencies, emergency protocols." "Captain, there's no one close enough to." "Do it anyway," In snapped. He immediately felt bad for yelling. His crew didn't deserve his fear. "Please, just do it." The communications officer nodded and began transmitting. The message was simple. They were under attack, their position, and a plea for help. The ship shook again. The lights flickered. Somewhere below, In heard an explosion. The screaming started. "Hull breach on Deck 3, someone shouted, sealing emergency doors. In closed his eyes. Deck 3 was the living quarters. At least 15 crew members were down there. He heard the doors slam shut through the ship's audio system, then silence from that section. His people were trapped. "Shields down," the sensor officer screamed. "They're through." The next impact threw In from his chair. He hit the floor hard, his hollow bones aching. Around him, his crew struggled to their stations. One officer wasn't moving. Blue blood pooled beneath her. In pulled himself up. His wing was bent wrong, but he ignored the pain. "Weapons." "We disabled the defense cannons. They're firing." But In knew it was hopeless. Their small cannons were meant to destroy asteroids, not warships. The energy bolts splashed harmlessly against the armor. "Captain, I'm receiving a response to our distress call." In's heart skipped. "What from who?" I don't know. The translator is having trouble. The language isn't in our database." The communications officer adjusted her controls, her feathers trembling. "It's coming from that direction." She pointed at the display. 6 hours away at standard speed. "Play it," In ordered. Static filled the bridge. Then a voice came through. It was harsh, rough, like rocks grinding together. The words were short and sharp. The translator struggled, producing broken phrases. "This vessel, indomitable, your signal position, 6 hours, hold, we come." The crew looked at each other. 6 hours, they had minutes maybe. "Respond," In ordered. "Tell them we can't hold that long." The communications officer spoke into her microphone, sending their desperate situation. The response came faster this time. "Understood, speed, increasing 3 hours, coming, hot." 3 hours, still too long, but something in that voice made In's feathers rise, not from fear this time, something else. Determination, anger even. "Who are they?" asked his first officer. She was young, barely 20 cycles old, too young to die here. "I don't know," In admitted. "The signal is strong though, military grade, and that ship name. Indomitable. What species names their ships with words like that?" Another explosion rocked the vessel. The main display showed boarding pods launching from their ships. "They're boarding us," someone cried out. In heard the impacts throughout the ship, metal tearing, his people screaming. They would go through every deck, consuming everything. First the technology, then the crew. "Seal the bridge," he ordered quietly. "Emergency lockdown." Heavy doors slammed shut. They were safe for now, but it wouldn't last. He could hear sounds in the corridor outside, scratching, cutting. They were patient. "Keep broadcasting our position," In said. "Maybe these, whoever they are, maybe they can avenge us. Maybe they can warn the council." "Captain," it was I. She was looking at her sensor display with wide eyes. "The unknown ships, they're accelerating. I've never seen speeds like this. They're pushing past safety limits." "How long now?" 2 hours, maybe less. They're burning their engines so hard I can detect the heat signature from here." In felt something strange. Hope. These unknown aliens, whoever they were hurting their own ships to reach them faster. Who did that for strangers? A sound filled the bridge, screaming metal. They were cutting through the door. "Send one more message," In said. "Tell them thank you. Tell them we appreciate them trying." The communications officer's hands shook as she transmitted. The response came immediately. "No, thanks, needed you called we. Answer Earth comes." "Earth," I whispered. "What's Earth?" And didn't know. It wasn't in any council database. An unknown species from an unknown world racing to save them. It seemed impossible. The door groaned. Metal glowed red as they cut through. "Hold on," In told his crew. "Just hold on, someone is coming." He didn't know if he believed it, but right now it was all they had. The door burst open. The last thing In saw before everything went dark was a warrior stepping onto his bridge. And the last thing he heard was that rough, grinding voice over the speakers. 90 minutes, we see you, stay alive, we are coming." Captain Minu stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, watching the tactical display. 23 enemy ships surrounded the alien vessel. The distress signal still played on a loop, weaker now. "Status?" he asked. Commander Sora checked her screens. 80 minutes until contact. The alien ship has been boarded. I'm detecting weapons fire inside. Minu's jaw tightened. They were a long way from Earth. Humanity's first deep space fleet sent to explore and make friends. Now they were racing to a fight. "Wake up the Marines," he ordered. "Combat drop protocols and charge all weapons." "All of them?" Sora asked. "Even the experimental ones?" "Everything," Minu confirmed. "If we're doing this, we do it right." Behind him, the bridge crew worked quickly. They were young, most of them. Earth had only discovered faster-than-light travel 20 years ago. Before that, they were alone in the solar system. Now they were out here, meeting aliens for the first time. And apparently, the first aliens they'd meet properly were the ones trying to kill other aliens. "Sir, we're getting a better translation now," the communications officer said. "They call themselves bird-like species. Scientific mission. They're begging for help." Minu had heard the fear in those transmissions. He'd heard people die in the background. It reminded him of too many things from Earth's history. 60 minutes, Sora announced. "The fleet is ready, weapons hot, Marines are suited up." "Good." Minu activated the ship-wide intercom. "All hands, this is the captain. We're about to engage an unknown hostile force. They've attacked a peaceful science vessel. We're going to stop them. We're going to save who we can. And we're going to show these bugs what happens when they pick on someone smaller. Battle stations." Down in the Marine Bay, Lieutenant checked his armor seals. Around him, 200 Marines did the same. They wore heavy combat suits, designed for fighting on Earth's harsh surface. Now they'd use them in space. "Listen up," called out. "Unknown hostiles, bug-like appearance. They're boarding a friendly vessel. Our job is simple. Board their ships, kill everything hostile, save everyone friendly. Questions?" A young Marine raised his hand. "How do we know who's friendly?" "The ones screaming for help," said flatly. "The ones shooting at you are hostile, clear." Nervous laughter rippled through the bay. "Check your buddies," continued. We go in hard, we go in fast, and we bring everyone home. Even the aliens we've never met, got it. Yes, sir, 200 voices answered. On the bridge, the enemy ships appeared on the main screen. They looked organic, like giant beetles. Black armor plating covered curved hulls. Weapon ports glowed green. 30 seconds, Sora counted down. Enemy sensors just picked us up. They're turning. Don't give them time to think, Minyu ordered. All ships, weapons free, fire on my mark. The human fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel in perfect formation. 7 destroyers, 12 frigates, and 4 carriers. Not much compared to the enemy's numbers, but they weren't here to run. Mark! The Indomitables fired first. Solid metal slugs accelerated to a fraction of light speed. They crossed the distance in seconds and slammed into the nearest ship. The enemy shields flashed, then failed. The slugs punched through armor like paper. Target destroyed, Sora reported, shocked. 1 shot. Next target, Minyu said calmly. Keep firing. The scrambled to respond. Their green energy weapons fired back, but the human ships were already moving. They didn't fly in straight lines or neat formations. They moved like predators, circling and striking from different angles. Launching missiles, Sora said. Nuclear payloads armed. Minyu watched the missiles streak away. They tried to shoot them down, but there were too many. The first one hit. A small sun blossomed in space. Direct hit, Sora confirmed. 2 enemy ships destroyed, 3 more damaged. They were confused now. They were used to fighting species that defended, that tried to protect themselves. The humans were attacking, aggressively, without fear. Boarding pods away, reported over the radio. Going in. Minyu switched the display to show the ship. Human pods slammed into its hull, cutting through to the interior. Similar pods hit several ships. Inside the vessel and his squad moved fast. They blew through a sealed bulkhead and immediately found bodies. Bird-like aliens torn apart, blue blood everywhere. Move, ordered. His sensors showed movement ahead, lots of it. They rounded a corner and found them. Warriors were massive, nearly 8 feet tall. They had 4 arms, each holding wicked blades. Their insect heads turned toward the humans. Contact, someone shouted. The corridor exploded with gunfire. They charged. They were fast, incredibly fast, but the Marines were ready. Met the first warrior head-on. It swung 2 blades at his head. He ducked, letting them pass over him, and drove his armored fist into its thorax. The impact shattered chitin. He grabbed another blade with his free hand and pulled the creature close, then put his rifle under its chin and fired. Around him, his Marines fought with brutal efficiency. They used their suit's strength, their weapons, even hand-to-hand combat. They were shocked. These small creatures were fighting back, winning. Second squad with me, called. They pushed deeper into the ship, following the life signs. They found a sealed bridge. Breach it. They placed charges on the door while covering their backs. More came. More died. The door exploded inward. Rushed through, weapon ready. He saw bird-like aliens huddled behind consoles. One of them, wearing a captain's insignia, looked up with large, terrified eyes. Friendly, called out. We're friendly, Earth forces, we're here to help. The alien captain stared at him, at the armor covered in blue and green blood, at the weapon still smoking, at its face visible through the helmet visor. You came, the captain whispered, his translator working now. You actually came. Said we would, replied. Can you walk? Some of us, many are injured. We'll carry them, get your people together, we're leaving. Outside, the space battle raged. The human fleet had destroyed half the ships. The rest were trying to flee. Don't let them escape, Minyu ordered. If even one gets away, they'll bring more. The human ships pursued. They were faster, more maneuverable. One by one, the ships died. Last enemy vessel destroyed, Sora reported, scanning for survivors. Bring our people home, Minyu said, and the 2. Later, in the Indomitable's medical bay, In watched the humans work. They moved with purpose, treating wounded with strange metal tools and chemicals. It looked barbaric, but it was working. A human female approached him. She was small, barely over 5 feet tall, with dark hair pulled back. Her uniform said doctor. "Captain In," she asked. "I'm the chief medical officer. How are you feeling?" "Alive," In said, still not quite believing it. "Thanks to you." "Thanks to all of us," corrected. She ran a scanner over his broken wing. "This needs to be set. It'll hurt." "I don't care," In said. "I need to speak with your captain." "He's on his way." When Minyu arrived, In tried to stand. His legs wouldn't hold him. "Easy," Minyu said, helping him sit. "You've been through a lot." "Why did you come?" In asked. "You don't know us. Your translator could barely understand us. Why risk your lives?" Minyu looked surprised by the question. "You called for help. We heard you. What else were we supposed to do?" "Most species would calculate the risk, would call for council approval, would." "We're not most species," Minyu interrupted gently. "On Earth we have a saying, when someone calls for help you answer. Simple as that." In felt his feathers quiver. These humans had traveled across space, fought a superior force, and risked everything for strangers. He needed to know more about them, about their world. He had a feeling the galaxy was about to change. The medical bay was quiet now. Most of the survivors were resting, their wounds treated. In sat at a human computer terminal, his feathers trembling as he read. "This can't be right," he whispered. Doctor looked up from her work. "Is something wrong, Captain?" "Your planet, Earth. The database says it's a Class 12, In's voice shook. "That's impossible. Nothing lives on Class 12 worlds. They're too dangerous." Smiled sadly. "We don't call it that, we just call it home." In kept reading. His eyes grew wider with each line. Earth had gravity more than twice what considered normal. The atmosphere had free oxygen at dangerous levels. The planet experienced violent storms that could level cities, earthquakes, volcanoes, tsunamis. And the life, oh the life. "It says here you have creatures called bears that can weigh over 1/2 a ton and run faster than our fastest vehicles," In said, looking at. "And they're not even your apex predators." "Bears are dangerous," agreed. "But we're the apex predators, Captain." In read more. Humans were persistent hunters. They didn't have claws or fangs or armor, they just never stopped. They would chase prey for hours, sometimes days, until it collapsed from exhaustion. Then they would kill it. "Your people evolved to hunt by literally outlasting your prey." "We're good at not giving up," said quietly. In found files about human diseases, bacteria that could kill in hours, viruses that spread through the air, parasites that lived inside the body. Yet humans had survived all of it, adapted to it. He found information about human plants. Many were toxic. Some could kill with a single touch. Others caused pain that lasted for months. "How do you survive?" he asked. "How did your species not go extinct?" "We're stubborn," replied, "and we take care of each other." Across the ship, young I was having a similar conversation with Ensign Jinnah. They were about the same age, and Jinnah had decided to show her new friend some human culture. "This is called music," Jinnah said, playing a song on her tablet. I listened to the heavy drums, the electric guitars, the human voice screaming words about not giving up, about fighting back. "It's so aggressive." "That's rock music," Jinnah laughed. "Want to try some human food?" She produced a meal from the dispenser. Rice, vegetables, and meat with a red sauce. I took a careful bite. Her eyes went wide. Her beak opened and she made a choking sound. "Water, water." Jinnah quickly handed her a cup. "Sorry, I forgot humans like spicy food. That was mild for us." "Mild," I gasped, drinking desperately. "That felt like poison." "Capsaicin," Jinnah explained. "It's from plants called peppers. They make them hot so animals won't eat them. But humans like the burning feeling, so we bred them to be even hotter. You eat poison for fun. Well, when you put it that way, Jinnah grinned. Later, Jinnah showed I a human movie, an action film about soldiers fighting aliens. I watched in horror as the humans on screen fought with weapons, vehicles, and bare hands. They took wounds that should have killed them and kept fighting. You watch this for entertainment? I asked. It's exciting, Jinnah said. Don't you have action movies? We have documentaries about scientific discoveries, I replied weakly. Meanwhile, In had accessed the quantum relay and contacted the Galactic Council. He needed to report what had happened. The council chamber appeared on his screen. Dozens of species, all advanced, all civilized. They listened as he described the attack and the rescue. These humans, council speaker On said, his species looked like floating jellyfish. They are not in our database. No, speaker, In confirmed. They claim to have discovered faster-than-light travel only 20 years ago. This is their first deep space exploration. And they engaged without hesitation. They destroyed the entire force, speaker, 23 ships. The humans lost 0 vessels, minimal casualties. The council chamber erupted in conversation. This was unheard of. New species didn't fight. They ran. They hid. They called for council protection. What weapons do they possess? Asked a reptilian council member. In swallowed, kinetic weapons, missiles with nuclear warheads, energy weapons they call experimental, and their soldiers fight with their bodies, hand to hand. Impossible. No civilized species fights like that. I watched it happen, In said firmly. One of their soldiers fought a warrior with his bare hands. He won. The council fell silent. A warrior could tear most species apart. We must investigate, On decided. Bring their captain before us. An hour later, Captain Minu stood in the holographic chamber facing the council. He looked calm, but In noticed his jaw was tight. He didn't like being questioned. Captain Minu of Earth, On began. We thank you for rescuing our people. However, we have concerns. What concerns? Minu asked. Your weapons, your tactics, your entire approach to conflict. We've reviewed your ship's database. You possess fusion weapons capable of destroying planets, artificial intelligence, genetic engineering, technologies we restrict heavily. We use them responsibly, Minu replied. Do you? Your planet has been at war with itself for its entire history. Hundreds of conflicts, millions dead, and now you bring those weapons to space. Minu's eyes hardened. Yes, we fought among ourselves, we made mistakes, terrible ones, but we learned, we unified, we put aside our differences when we reached for the stars. Yet you still carry weapons. Because apparently the galaxy needs them, Minu shot back. Where were you when they called for help? Where was the council fleet? Where was the civilized response? The council members shifted uncomfortably. We cannot be everywhere, On said. Then don't criticize those who show up, Minu replied. You built a galaxy where people can scream for help and die waiting for paperwork. We won't be part of that. We must insist that you submit to council oversight. Your weapons must be registered. Your artificial intelligence must be restricted. No. The single word silenced the chamber. No, On repeated. We'll register our ships. We'll share scientific data. We'll follow reasonable laws, but we won't disarm. Not when there are species like the out here. Not when we can help people you can't reach in time. This is not acceptable. Then don't accept it, Minu said flatly. We came to explore, to learn, to make friends. But we're not giving up our ability to protect ourselves or others. That's not negotiable. In watched the human captain face down the entire Galactic Council. This small species from a deadly world, barely into space, refusing to bow to the oldest civilizations in the galaxy. The council meeting ended badly. No agreement, just warnings and threats. Later, In found Minyu on the observation deck, looking at the stars. "You made enemies today," In said quietly. "Maybe," Minyu agreed. "But we saved your people. I'd make that trade again." "The Council is sending enforcement fleets. They'll try to make you comply." "Let them try." Minyu pointed at the display showing long-range sensors. "What's that?" In looked, his blood went cold. That's our armada, hundreds of ships. They're heading toward, it's a colony world, 2 million people. "How long?" 3 days, maybe less." Minyu was quiet for a moment. Then he activated his communicator. "Commander Sora, set course for maximum speed." "Sir," the Council said. "I don't care what the Council said. There are 2 million people about to die. We're going to stop it." In felt his feathers rise. "Captain, you can't. It's too many ships. Your fleet will be destroyed." Minyu looked at him with calm, determined eyes. "We didn't come to space to abandon people, Captain. We came to help them. So that's what we're going to do." "This is suicide." "Maybe, but it's the right thing to do." As the Indomitable turned toward and realized something. These humans were crazy. Their whole species was insane. They came from a world that tried to kill them every day, and they decided the correct response was to be kind to strangers. He didn't understand them at all, but he was starting to respect them. More importantly, he was starting to hope they might actually survive. The colony world of was beautiful. Green forests, blue oceans, cities built among the trees. 2 million lived there in peace. Now they were about to die. Governor Lin stood in the command center, watching the incoming threat on the displays. Over 200 ships. His world had 12 defense satellites and 4 patrol boats. It was laughable. "Begin evacuation," he ordered quietly. "Women and children first. Everyone who can fit on a transport." "Governor, we don't have enough ships," his aide said. "We can save maybe 200,000, the rest." The rest would die. Lenz had sent requests to the Council. They promised ships in 6 days. Too late. "Do what you can," he said. Then his communications officer shouted, "Governor, I'm picking up a signal. It's human." Human? Lenz didn't know that word. 23 ships. They're broadcasting. "Hold on, we're coming to help." 23 ships, against 200. It was still hopeless, but at least they weren't alone. On the Indomitable, Captain Minyu addressed his fleet. "All ships, this is the captain. We're outnumbered 10 to 1. The smart move would be to run. But 2 million people are counting on us. So we're going to do something really stupid instead. We're going to win." Commander Sora checked the tactical display. "The will arrive in 6 hours. We have 3 hours to prepare." "Good, get Major down to the surface. I want ground defenses ready in case they get through." "In case," Sora raised an eyebrow. "You mean when they get through?" Minyu smiled grimly. "We'll see." On the surface, Major and 500 Marines landed near the capital city. Governor Lenz met them personally. "You're insane for coming here," Lenz said, looking at the human officer. "We get that a lot," replied. "Show me your defenses." They were pathetic. Energy barriers that would last minutes. Weapons designed for police work, not war. They had lived in peace for so long they'd forgotten how to fight. "Okay," said. "Here's what we're going to do. Pull every able-bodied person together. We're going to teach them how to fight. My people are scientists, teachers, artists." "Today they're soldiers," said firmly. "Because if they don't fight, they die. Simple as that." Over the next 3 hours, 500 human Marines taught thousands of the basics. How to hold a weapon, how to take cover, how to shoot straight. They were terrified, but they learned. "Remember," told a group of trembling civilians, "you're not alone. We fight together. We survive together." In space, the human fleet positioned itself between and the approaching armada. Minyu studied the tactical display. The odds were terrible. "Unconventional tactics," he said. "We can't fight them head-on. Sora, deploy the drone swarms, all of them." Sir, those are our entire supply. Deploy them and activate the mine field. The humans had brought hundreds of small drones. Each one carried just enough explosives to damage a ship, and they'd spent the last 3 hours planting nuclear mines in a wide field. They won't expect this, Sora said. Good. They arrived like a plague of locusts. Their ships blotted out the stars. They saw the human fleet and laughed. 23 tiny ships against their armada. They charged forward. Now, Minyu ordered. The mines activated. Nuclear fire blossomed across the void. 30 ships vanished instantly. More were damaged. The drone swarms launched. Thousands of small targets swarmed the formation. The enemy tried to shoot them down, but there were too many. The drones slammed into engines, weapons, bridges. Enemy formation broken, Sara reported. They're confused. All ships attack pattern Delta. Hunt in packs, no mercy. The human ships didn't fly like a fleet. They flew like wolves. 3 or 4 ships would coordinate, surround a single vessel, and tear it apart with concentrated fire. Then they'd move to the next target. They had never fought an enemy that attacked this way. Most species grouped up for defense. The humans spread out and hunted. Lieutenant led a fighter squadron through the chaos. Her small craft weaved between massive ships, too small and fast for their big guns. Target the flagship, she told her squadron. We need to cut off their head. The flagship was massive, bristling with weapons. Her squadron mates looked at each other. That's suicide, Lieutenant, one of them said. Probably, agreed. But if we don't, our people die. What's it going to be? They followed her. 12 fighters dove toward the flagship. The point defense opened up. 2 fighters exploded immediately. 3 more took hits but kept flying. Almost there, shouted. Her craft shook as enemy fire grazed her wing. Warning lights flashed everywhere. Arming warhead. Each fighter carried 1 bunker-buster warhead, designed to penetrate deep before exploding, aimed for the flagship's bridge. Fire! She released the warhead and pulled up hard. Her fighter barely cleared the flagship as the warhead punched through armor, through decks, deep into the ship's core. It detonated. The flagship tore itself apart from the inside. The explosion was so bright it lit up half the system. Direct hit, someone cheered. The flagship is gone. But so were 8 more fighters. Made it back with only 3 others. It was worth it. On the ground, the landing began. Hundreds of drop pods slammed into the forests around the city. Here they come, shouted. Remember your training, fire in controlled bursts, cover your neighbors. The civilians gripped their weapons with trembling hands. Then the warriors emerged from the trees. Massive, terrifying, moving like nightmares. They froze. Fire roared. The humans opened up first. They charged. Some fell, but more kept coming. Then something changed. A young female, a teacher before this day, saw a warrior kill a Marine who had taught her to shoot. She screamed and fired. Then another joined her, and another. They'd been peaceful for centuries, but their ancestors had fought. That instinct was still there, buried deep. The humans helped them remember. In space, the battle raged for hours. The human fleet was taking damage now. 2 destroyers were crippled. A frigate exploded, but they kept fighting. Then Minyu's ship was hit, hard. Hull breach, Sora shouted. They're boarding us. Warriors poured onto the ship. Minyu grabbed a rifle from the weapons locker. Seal the bridge. We hold here. The crew armed themselves. Engineers, technicians, medical staff, everyone who could hold a weapon. They cut through the door. Minyu fired first. The crew followed. They fought in their own corridors, defending their home. Captain, Sora called. The Council Enforcement Fleet, they're here. On the display, Minyu saw dozens of Council ships dropping out of faster-than-light travel. Finally, too late, but here. But they weren't attacking, they were just watching. Admiral On, aboard his command ship, stared at the battle. He'd come to arrest the humans for disobeying council orders. Instead, he found them dying to protect civilians. "Sir," his tactical officer said, "the humans are losing. Should we assist?" On watched a human destroyer take a killing blow but still fire its weapons, taking 3 ships with it. He watched human Marines on the ground fight, alongside civilians who had never held weapons before. He watched human fighters make suicide run to protect evacuation transports. "These humans," On whispered, "what kind of species does this?" On the Indomitable, a blade cut deep into Minu's side. He fell, blood spreading across his uniform. The creature raised its weapon for the killing blow. Then was there, pulling the captain back, filling the gap. "Not today," the Marine lieutenant roared. As Minu's vision faded, he reached for his communicator. With bloody fingers, he activated one last transmission. "This is Captain Minu to anyone listening. We came to help. We tried. Tell Earth. Tell them we found people worth fighting for." The transmission reached across space, back toward Earth. And on Earth, in the military command center, Fleet Admiral heard it. He listened to the battle, the screaming, the dying, his people fighting for strangers. "How many ships do we have?" he asked quietly. "Sir," the council said. "How many ships?" 47, Admiral, but they're not ready for." "Launch them all," ordered. "Every ship maximum speed, direct course to." "But sir—" "My people are dying," roared. "One of ours called for help, so what do we do?" The entire command center answered as one. "We answer." The bridge of the Indomitable was a battlefield, bodies everywhere, smoke filling the air. Captain Minu lay against the wall, holding his wounded side. Around him, his crew fought desperately. "Captain's down," someone screamed. Lieutenant stood over Minu, firing at the warriors. His armor was cracked, bleeding from a dozen wounds, but he couldn't fall. In the command center on Earth, Admiral watched the live feed from. The human fleet was dying, ship after ship going dark. "ETA," he demanded. 3 weeks at maximum speed, sir." "Not good enough. What if we burn the engines, push past all safety limits?" The engineering officer looked horrified. "Admiral, the ships could tear apart in faster-than-light travel. We've never pushed them that hard." "Will it get us there faster?" Maybe 10 days, but—" "Do it," ordered. "All ships, burn everything. I don't care if we arrive in pieces. We arrive." The Earth fleet launched, 47 ships pushing their engines beyond design specifications. The heat signatures were so intense they could be detected across light years. At the battle was ending. The human fleet was down to 9 operational ships that were closing in for the kill. On the surface, Major's forces were surrounded. Warriors pressed from all sides. The civilians fought bravely, but they were running out of ammunition. "Fall back to the city center," ordered, "fighting retreat, covering fire." They pulled back step by step, carrying their wounded. Human Marines and civilians supporting each other, united in desperation. Admiral on watch from his command ship. The Council fleet surrounded him, weapons charged but not firing. "Admiral," his second-in-command said quietly, "we should help them. The Council forbids interference in." "Sir, look at them." On looked. He saw humans fighting 10-to-1 odds without running. He saw civilians who had never fought before standing alongside them. He saw species working together, dying together. And he felt ashamed. "How long have we been civilized?" he asked quietly. "How long since we forgot what it means to sacrifice for others?" His bridge crew was silent. "All ships," On announced, "prepare to engage." "Sir, the Council will." "Damn the Council," On roared. "Those are people down there dying for others, and we're watching like cowards. All weapons fire." The Council enforcement fleet attacked. Energy beams lanced through space, cutting into ships. The enemy was caught between the dying human fleet and the fresh Council forces. On the Indomitable, Sara looked up from her damaged console. "Sir, the Council fleet, they're helping us." Minyu tried to laugh but coughed blood instead. "About time." The tide turned. Faced with two enemy fleets began to retreat, but the humans didn't let them escape. Even damaged, even dying, they pursued. "No quarter," Minyu whispered. "They wanted war. Show them what Earth thinks of bullies." On the surface, heard the announcement that Council ships were providing orbital support. "Finally, all units push forward. We've got air support now." The combined forces drove the back, step by bloody step. Then space rippled. Every sensor in the system screamed warnings, massive faster-than-light signatures, not one or two ships, dozens. "New contacts," a sensor officer shouted. "There, oh stars, they're human." The Earth fleet tore out of faster-than-light travel, literally tore. Their engines were overheated, burning. Some ships had hull breaches from the stress, but they were here. And they were furious. Admiral stood on the bridge of his flagship. He saw the ships. He saw the damaged human vessels. He saw the fires on surface. "This is Fleet Admiral of the Earth Defense Force." His voice boomed across all frequencies. "To all forces, you attacked our people. You killed our brothers and sisters. You threatened innocent civilians. This is your only warning. Leave now or we will end you." They responded with weapons fire. "Wrong answer," said calmly. "All ships, show them what Earth does to those who hurt our people. Fire everything." What happened next would be studied in military academies for generations. The Earth fleet didn't just attack. They executed a perfect assault. Fresh ships, full weapons, and the rage of a species that had traveled across space to protect their own. The armada shattered like glass. They tried to fight. They tried to flee. The humans hunted them down. On the Indomitable, Minyu heard's voice and smiled. "Told you, someone was coming." "Sir, you need medical attention," Sara insisted. "In a minute. I want to watch this." The battle didn't last long. The combined human and Council forces overwhelmed them completely. Within 2 hours, it was over. Silence fell across the system. Then the communications lit up. Thousands of messages. From on the surface thanking the humans. From the Council ships acknowledging the humans' bravery. From Earth asking about casualties. Admiral's flagship docked with the Indomitable. He rushed to the medical bay where they'd taken Minyu. "Captain," said, looking at the younger officer, "you crazy, stupid, brave idiot." Minyu, barely conscious, managed a weak smile. "Did we win?" "You won. You all won." Days later, a massive gathering was held in the Council chambers. Every species was represented, and for the first time ever, Earth had a seat. Governor Lenzov spoke first. "The humans saved my world. 2 million people are alive because these strangers chose to help. They owed us nothing. They knew they might die, but they came anyway." Captain In, his wing now healed, stepped forward. "I sent a distress signal into the void. I expected nothing. Instead, I found the bravest species I've ever known. The humans didn't ask for payment, didn't ask for territory. They asked only one question: how can we help?" Admiral On, representing the Council forces that had joined the battle, spoke quietly. "We in the Council have become soft. We forgot what it means to sacrifice. The humans reminded us. They shamed us. But they also inspired us." Finally, Admiral stood. The human looked small compared to many species present, but his voice carried power. "We come from a hard world," he said. "Earth tried to kill us for millions of years. Predators, diseases, disasters. We survived by working together, by refusing to abandon each other. When we reached space, we brought that with us." He paused, looking at each Council member. "You can try to control us, limit our weapons, restrict our technology, but you cannot change who we are. We are a species that answers distress calls, that fights for strangers, that refuses to let people die alone. We're not asking for special treatment. We're not demanding power. We're offering a promise. If you need help, if you're in danger, if you call into the void, Earth will answer. The council chamber was silent. Then On spoke. The council offers Earth emergency membership, not as subjects, not as children to be controlled, but as equals, as protectors. We accept, said, on one condition. What condition? We establish the Sol Defense Pact. Any species can join. No council bureaucracy. No waiting for approval. When someone calls for help, we go. Simple as that. The council debated. Some argued. Some protested. But in the end, they agreed. Because they'd seen what happened when humans were motivated, and they wanted that dedication on their side. 3 months later on Earth, recruitment centers were flooded. Young people lined up for days, wanting to join the new defense force. A young woman named stood in line, looking at her recruitment form. She'd watched the broadcasts seen the humans fighting alongside civilians, heard Captain Minu's final transmission. Why do you want to join? The recruiter asked her. Looked up with determined eyes. Because someone out there might need help, and we're the ones who answer. The recruiter smiled and stamped her form. Welcome to the fleet. Across Earth, across human colonies, across the new outposts in space, the same scene repeated. Humans signing up, training, learning, preparing. The recruitment posters showed Captain Minu standing within, human and alien together. The text was simple. They called, we answered, will you? In the vastness of space, other species watched the humans with new eyes, some with fear, some with respect, some with hope. The learned to avoid human ships. Word spread of the species from the ones who didn't retreat, who didn't negotiate with bullies, who came when you called. And on a small research ship far from Earth, kept a human flag in his quarters, a gift from Captain Minu. He looked at it often, remembering. He'd sent a signal into the void, and the had answered. The galaxy would never be the same. On the bridge of a new Earth vessel, fresh from the shipyards, Captain checked his sensors. He was on patrol in a sector the Council considered safe. A distress signal appeared. Smiled, this is Captain of the Earth Ship Defender. We hear you, we're coming. Because that's what humans did. Someone called, they answered, it was that simple. And somewhere in the dark between stars, other species heard that transmission and felt something they hadn't felt in a long time. Hoping. The fleet was always coming, you just had to call.